Hello and welcome to Cricbuzz Live. My name is Tanay Tiwari. The game is the Lucknow Super Giants taking on the Delhi Capitals. Now, the Super Giants won the toss, put Delhi into bat first, and the start that Delhi got seemed like the score would go somewhere around my prediction of 190. That wasn't to be, because if you look at that summary scorecard and you look at Joy's grin later on, it says quite a story. Rishabh Pant just could not get going initially. Then he got going. Prithvi Shaw, 61 of 34, was brilliant. Then Sarfaraz Khan towards the end, who came in for Mandeep, also put in a good hand, 36 not out of 28. Lucknow ending, that's Delhi ending with just 149 for 3. Lucknow would want just one more than that to end. I'm joined by Joy Bhattacharjya and Lisa Sthalekar. Welcome, Joy. And that smile on your face tells us that you won the prediction game. In your acceptance speech, may I suggest that you please thank Rishabh Pant?
I have to thank Rishabh Pant. I mean, that is one of the most unusual. This is one of the most. The score looks conventional, 149. This is par for the course kind of score. But this is a very, very unusual innings. I mean, you have a situation where they've gone very hard up front. Then suddenly in the middle, the spinners have totally strangled them. Then there's a third period where they suddenly get going. And then with two set batsmen, both having played 20 balls each, they end up getting just 19 in the last 3 overs. I mean, look at those last 3 overs, you wonder what is happening, that there are two, Sarfaraz Khan and Rishabh Pant, two of the biggest hitters in the game, have played that long. And this for once, it doesn't tell you the story. Because 16 to 20, it's basically 18, 19, 20 that tells you the real story.
Correct. Absolutely. And Lisa, it's been that kind of an innings. I mean, it's very hard to pinpoint one thing, but 61 of 34 for Prithvi Shaw, and then 88 of the rest of 86 deliveries.
Yeah, it's like 3 different halves, isn't it? The first part, excellent by Prithvi Shaw. I don't know what David Warner was doing. He was just maybe sitting back and enjoying the show. He just didn't get going himself. And then the spin was able to really squeeze and restrict the amount of runs. I think run rate at the power play was like 8 something, and then within that middle period it went down to 3, maybe even 4. So I mean, a huge drop. And maybe, Joy, the bigger ground also helped the fact that Bishnoi was really effective as well. So you think you're going to try and get on top of the spinners and you try and take them downtown and clear the boundary. It doesn't happen. And then you lose too many wickets in that middle period.
Correct. And that's been the story of this Delhi side. And if you look at that score also, Joy, it's not like they've lost a lot of wickets. They've just lost 3 wickets. And the two batters in the middle, again, as you said, were Sarfaraz Khan and Rishabh Pant, 2 of the hardest hitters of the ball. So something really went wrong in those middle overs.
Yeah, look, that's my point. They also got going in the middle. If you look down that list, over 15, they go for 9. Over 16, they go for 18 runs. Over 17, they go for 13 runs. And then suddenly they get choked up all again. I just don't understand it. I could have understood it if one of them got out. If one of them was dismissed, one of them was out, the other guy's taking pressure, new batsman trying to hit, not being able to time it. Both these guys have spent 25, 30 odd balls in the crease, 4-5 overs in the crease. So it's a strange innings. I really felt that Sarfaraz and Rishabh both did not take any risks at a time when they could have well afforded to take risks. And that's resulted in them coming at least 20 short. This is not an easy ground to bat on if you have decent spinners. But 169, 170, that would have been the kind of total you could have looked at and said that that's a decent effort with this ground. 149 is perplexing. And I just wonder what a coach like Ricky Ponting will make of it. Because if they were 149 for 8, I can understand. But 149 for 7.
Yeah.
149 for 3, I wonder what he'll tell them at halftime.
I'm just not 100% sure about their batting order at the moment as well. Rodman Powell coming in at coming in number 3 position. I just he's known kind of as the finisher almost, or that's kind of the role that he's played in the past. So to throw him up and then get him to face Bishnoi, he did look like he had no idea which way it was going. So I wonder if they'll look to change that a little bit as they move forward in the tournament. I'm just still scratching my head a little bit with Powell coming in that high.
That makes the two of us, Lisa, because the way,
Okay, good.
the way. I mean, you have Rishabh Pant in the hut waiting,
Yeah.
but Rishabh Pant came out and he didn't really bat like Rishabh Pant for the first part of his innings. For a majority of the first half of that innings, if you look at that, also Joy, the first 15 balls, the strike rate is just 33, and then of course it shoots up to 200, and then comes back to 50. It's really strange. There isn't really an explanation for this kind of innings.
There isn't. And as I said, if he had got out trying to take risks, I could have understood. He didn't get out. He stayed out there. He wasn't dropped in the deep trying to, loft it over, and therefore was trying. He didn't take any risks. It's something I find perplexing. And one of the things is what we discussed, if you remember, Tanay, at the com box, which is that this batting order does not have that quality international or Indian batsman like a Shreyas Iyer or, Steve Smith. And I feel Rishabh somewhere feels the pressure of having to be that himself, that he's surrounded by hitters and he feels the need to be a conventional player. But by doing that, he's probably their best hitter. And by not hitting, he's, I think, costing his team a trick out there. So there's something out there that they need to solve. All I can tell you is that Ponting is not going to be happy about it. I think any coach is okay if you get out trying to do something. Right here, it seemed that they weren't prepared to take enough risks. Especially even in a situation where with 3-4 overs left, they had just lost 3 wickets. And that's something that the coach would be really upset about.
Correct. And Lisa, coming back to your point about the batting order, now you were right in saying that the spinners were bowling. Rovman Powell isn't really known to face spin that well, and the spin in the likes of Ravi Bishnoi, and then there was Krishnappa Gautam, Krunal Pandey as well. Wouldn't Pant have been a better choice? And we saw that as well. That acceleration, that second part of his innings, beg your pardon, really started with him going after Ravi Bishnoi.
Yeah, and then on the flip side, what you can say is that Lucknow struggle at the back end, don't they, to bowl? Their death overs, they leaked 50 off the last 5. So isn't that when you want Rovman Powell to come in and have the pace? So yeah, I think we're starting to see it anyway with the franchises and a new list is trying to figure out where does everyone slot in? How can we get the most out of him? And maybe there'll be some coaches, and Ricky Ponting's maybe one of them, who goes, what if because the same thing happens with Andre Russell. What if we were to, get him up the order? Imagine he could play an innings like this and he's got longer time, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to pay off. So, I think punt against spin would have been a better. You wouldn't have gone for 9. What was Rovman Powell again? He was off 10 or 11 deliveries and single figures. So so they'll make a change. They can't continue. Rovman Powell 3 off 10. I mean, Dave Warner, that innings surprised me. He really did struggle. So
I think he was just being entertained. He was happy being entertained. The way Prithvi Shaw started.
Well, I thought actually there'd be a nice little byplay given what Pat Cummins did last night. 14 deliveries for 50, that he might go, hang on, I'm going to take the Aussie skipper down. I'm no doubt WhatsApp messages go back and forth amongst teammates from the same country. But yeah, very disappointing for him.
Yeah, and very disappointing for Delhi as well. They'd have hoped for more runs. But it's a happy day if you're a Lucknow bowler, because with that kind of a batting lineup, which now has David Warner, Rovman Powell, Rishabh Pant, if you look at the figures there, Joy, for all of these bowlers, they'd be very happy. I mean, of course, they would have liked more wickets, but those economy figures, apart from, of course, Avesh Khan, who was taken towards in the middle of that innings, and then, of course, Andrew Tye as well. But the spinners, they would be very happy. The first half also, we saw Krishnappa Gautam and Ravi Bishnoi tying them down, and then again.
Look, I think they'd be happy, period, because it didn't matter. Avesh Khan not finishing his quote is a really rare thing. It's something you won't see too often. But the fact that after the start where you give more than 8 and over, you come back roaring back and get them under 150 is something that they look on. And that's the plus point of this Lucknow side. This Lucknow side doesn't always seem to be, overwhelmingly a champion side, but they always seem to fight back. Sometimes unsuccessfully, but more often than not successfully. And that's something. This team has a spine. They don't put their heads down when they get bashed around a bit. And that's a great sign for the team. Delhi was just the opposite. It seemed loaded with talent and somehow lost their directions. They didn't exactly know what they were doing out there. And it really showed.
Correct, and the spinners really ruled the roost the way they were bowling, and especially Krishnappa Gautam, Lisa. I mean, he just comes into this game, really sat out the entire season for the CSK, comes here with perhaps a point to prove, the PTP that we keep talking about, and he does really well. Gets Shaw out, and then it's a downslide from there for the Delhi Capitals.
Yeah, I mean, players that move clubs, franchises, and get an opportunity to come in and play, you can have an impact. It's your chance to prove that point, and he did well. And given the fact that with Prithvi Shaw, if you look at the start of his innings, everything was short and wide, and obviously Krishna Gautam was able to kind of go at the stumps a little bit more, which kind of starved him of that width that he was looking for. So that it's really important. Spin will always play an important role in T20 cricket. That's why we love him.
Correct, absolutely. Joy, you had a point to make.
Yeah, my point exactly was that Krishnappa Gautam in his first 2 overs, he took Prithvi's wicket, but his first 2 overs, he goes for 20 runs.
Correct.
In his next 2 overs, he goes for 3 runs.
Yeah.
And that is the middle order story between him and Bishnoi. He bowled a maiden against Pant. They couldn't get going against Bishnoi. And that middle period, they wasted far too many deliveries. And that's one thing that they'll be wondering about, what happened out there. These are not international players. Rovman Powell struggling to get off the turf against spinners, I can understand. Rishabh Pant and Sarfaraz Khan, they eat them for breakfast. And that's totally inexplicable.
Absolutely.
The other thing, were they worried about exposing that middle order, that middle to late order? That's the thing that they've got to trust, don't they? I mean, Axar and Shardul Thakur actually won them a game, the first game, because of what they were able to do. You've got to trust them to a certain extent, which means that you play with a bit more freedom.
Yeah, there are question marks around this Delhi batting lineup, and 149 for 3 with Rishabh Pant returning not out at the end of 20 overs. Those question marks are only getting bigger. And this, of course, is only the third lowest total. I mean, you see, when you talk of Rishabh Pant, you always talk of the highest totals. But this is the third lowest total when a team has lost 3 or lesser wickets at the end of 20 overs, and there will be question marks. But can they put the same question marks now back, Lisa, to Lucknow? Because it's not that big a score, but it's a fighting total.
Yeah, it runs on the board. It counts, doesn't it? And listening to the commentators, they were talking about this pitch being quite patchy. So, it's not going to be consistent bounce, consistent pace. There's a chance for them to pick up wickets regularly, which will just add to the pressure. But we do know with Lucknow, they bat deep. Yeah. Unlike Delhi, they bat deep. So they've got to work hard. They've got to try and take as many wickets as they can. They can't afford to kind of take it to the last over because they don't have enough runs to play with.
Yeah, correct. And Joy, this is a team that has chased down 211 runs. But Krishnappa Gautam, towards the end of the first innings, when he was being interviewed, he said that the pitch is a little patchy. If you keep varying your pace, some do hold into that pitch. And the lopsided dimensions, now one side is very short, the other side is very long. Delhi bowlers would like to use that as well.
They will use that well. And I'll tell you 2 more things. Delhi has 2 quality spinners. Yeah, Kuldeep is a quality spinner. Axar is a quality spinner, especially on surfaces that gives him a little bit of help. You have 2.5 spinners because Lalit Yadav doesn't do badly in these conditions as well. What will be interesting though is how long do they bowl with Nokia up front? Because people like Nokia giving pace on this kind of a wicket, you have Nokia, you have Mustafizur. I think Mustafizur will adjust very easily to the surface because his slow ones, that grip actually helps him. Yeah. It's really how they tackle Nokia. I think the others are not going to give Lucknow an easy time. This is not going to be an easy batting effort.
It won't be. 150 to chase for the Lucknow Super Giants. But as we come towards the end of this show, of course, we come to the most important part of this show as well. Again, prediction time. Defending champions to go first, Lisa, what say? Should we ask him to go first? Power play score.
Yes, he can go first. Absolutely.
Joy, please. Do the honors. Okay.
Power play. I love 42, the answer to life, the universe and everything. 42 I'll go with.
Wow. Okay. Lisa.
42. That's my age. I like it. 42. Answer to everything.
You're perfect, as I always tell you, you're perfect.
Oh, Joy, stop it. I'm going to go 37.
Okay, 37, 42. I'm saying 55. Let's go home early, no? Get Lucknow, get off to a good start. Pack this up early. Everyone's happy. I mean, everyone excluding.
Especially people who are born and educated in Lucknow. Do we have anyone in the studio like that today?
I don't know what you're talking about. I know. I don't know. I keep all of those biases outside. I don't bring them in. No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Lisa will back me up on that. I support only
No,
cricket.
you did.
Nothing
You
else.
did actually. The pre-show, you did say that Lucknow is your favourite side.
Lisa, I thought you were on my side.
I know,
Oh,
but
God.
look, I got to call it how I see it, don't I? Come on.
Yeah, correct. We'll take this up again in the post-match show, and of course, we'll come back at the end of the 10th over with Cricbuzz Combox. That's it on this installation of Cricbuzz Live. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Joy, for joining us. We'll of course see you at the Combox.